Well, they wanted to denuke certain areas, and I wanted everything. And the sanctions are there, and I didn't want to give up the sanctions unless we had a real program. Mm-hmm. And they're not ready for that, and I understand that fully. I really do. I mean, they spent a lot of time building it, and that doesn't mean the world has to be happy. But I wanted them to denuke. Well, and we're working towards something, but we didn't sign anything today. It didn't quite work out. I would say that I wasn't satisfied, and perhaps he wasn't satisfied. Good relationship, but I decided that this wasn't the right time to sign something. So we'll see what happens over a period of time.
Sean? You know, Brian, here's the thing. Think about, let's go back to Singapore, because think of all the progress that was already made, and these are not insignificant things. It's been over 400 days, no more missiles as they were regularly happening, being fired over Japan. Guam is not being threatened. The continental United States, if you remember, Kim Jong-un was talking about, oh, we can fire here. Go back and look at the media coverage at the time. It was, he's going to start a nuclear war. Little right. Rocket Man, fire and fury. My button's bigger than yours, and our button actually works. Amazing that led to, let's see, hostages released, no missiles being fired in over 400 days. Right. The remains of our heroes from the Korean War. And at this point, the president even said we had a deal on paper ready to sign. But it really wouldn't make sense, would it, not to have full denuclearization?
Well, and Sean, you know the president. He wanted a grand deal. And unfortunately, as we have seen for decades from North Korea, they'll give a little and expect a lot. They said, OK, we want all the sanctions taken off of us, Mr. President. And the president said, OK, great. What do I get? And he said, well, we're going to denuke parts, not everything. And in fact, the president even revealed at a press event that apparently our intel community knows
Steve,
of secret places.
I got called on in the press event, which was pretty fun. It was a pretty big crowd in the press room, and I got to ask another question during that press conference. But this is who Donald Trump is. If you think back, remember, I kept predicting that the president, for example, would declare the national emergency as it relates to, or declaration of emergency as it relates to the border.
Right.
Why? Because the president was saying it repeatedly publicly. The president has said over and over again throughout his life and career, and I've known him well over 2 decades, that he's going to walk away from a bad deal. The only deal that really makes sense for the American people on such a serious, significant issue, something that will impact the entire world, create more safety and security, denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, protect our allies in Japan and Guam and even China in many ways, and the continental United States for our kids and our grandkids. The deal has to be right
Sean,
for the United States.
Sean, did Chairman Kim overplay his hand? He got the president to go to Vietnam, and then ultimately, when they're sitting across the table, it's no dice.
Well, but think of it this way. In my opinion, when he says, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't willing to talk about denuclearization, that's pretty amazing. I don't want to give it away, but I asked the president, because remember he teased that they had this dinner the night before, and the president says, well, I hope he says what he said at dinner.
Right, the dialogue.
But I'll let him say that. He gives me that answer. And it's something that I think, the idea that people think that we can solve what has been a problem that he inherited. Now, go back to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton tried to bribe Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il. And, Bill Clinton, this is a good deal for American people, and we're never going to see nukes, et cetera. Right. It didn't happen. It's interesting, because I think the president could have taken 2 approaches today. And one approach could have been, OK, we're going to double down on the sanctions. But the president's also telegraphing another message, and that is there's a great personal relationship. When we started the show last night at 9 Eastern, 9 a.m. here in Vietnam, it was interesting. There was a casual, the jovial even, lightheartedness even that you could see. There is this relationship that the president keeps talking about between the two of them. And I don't think it's really any different than when you are doing a business deal in life. If you build that relationship and that trust over time, you can move deeper and deeper into more successful negotiations as things go along. I think we're going to see that here. Listen, I give my opinion, as everybody knows, and I'm very happy for the country in this sense. I really believe in this concept of peace through strength. Trust but verify. This deal would have to be verified. It would have to be complete. We would have to have access, inspections, any place, any time. And I think ultimately we get that. But the idea that we get a deal just to say we got a deal, well, it didn't work out well with Kim Jong-il. It didn't work out with the Iranian mullahs, and trying to bribe them, thinking that if we kiss your you're going to like us. So I think at the end of the day, what would we prefer? A deal for deal's sake, or a deal that is deep and profound and really, we have a transition to a safer world? At the end of the day, the fact that the president will fight for future generations and not having a country destabilizing the world and threatening the continental United States, it is too serious to get this wrong. And to wait and be patient, to me, is the right strategy in every way.